Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Generic Happy YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. I'm Amar, otherwise known as Generic Happy, and today I wanted to announce that I will be bringing two new series to my YouTube channel, both focused on the upcoming release of Pokemon Legends ZA. I'm very excited to talk about these two new series. I've been working on them for a little while now, since the first, or I guess the second trailer released for the game in the most recent Pokemon Presents. And yeah, so I figured this would be a great time to announce it. But also, if you're interested, the background video that I'm using is a new Pokemon TCG pack opening that I did recently. I wasn't really intending to upload it just because I wasn't talking much throughout the video, but I figured it'd be good background content as a good, while you're listening to this video, you can also see what Pokemon cards I got in the pack opening. And yeah, so without further ado, let us get right into what these two series are. So, as I mentioned earlier, these two series are focused on Pokemon Legends ZA. I'm very excited for the game, so I figured, I would cover it a little bit differently. I've always done reactions and discussion videos for new Pokemon trailers and, Pokemon announcements, really, throughout like the years. And that's my favorite series of all time. So I've always wanted to do a little bit more content related to Pokemon on this channel. And I figured with the upcoming release of Pokemon Legends ZA, this would be the perfect time to do that. So, what I want these two series to be is largely my coverage of the game on this channel. Obviously, we're going to do a lot of coverage before the game releases, but if, for instance, we get DLC in the future, I also want to use these two series to cover the DLC. Just in a lot of ways, I want this to be how I largely cover the game, going forward. I will keep my reactions before I get started with talking about the two series. So reactions will stay the same. I will always be doing reactions to the different trailers and Pokemon Presents that we get out, we get this year and next year. But I figured, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the games. There's a lot I want to talk about when it comes to the games. So I'm making these two new series. The title of the two new series are The Lumiose Dialogue and The Lumiose Datalog. Yes, they're very similar in the way that you say them, but I was kind of intending it for that to be the case, because while they are distinctly different in the fact that I want to use the dialogue to be more of, as it's foretold in the title, a dialogue about the games, and the datalog series to be one where I'm talking about the the information that we get, some of the data, quote unquote, that we get about the games, official information really. I want them to be connected in the sense that some of the stuff we talk about in the dialogue will also be hinged on what Pokemon has officially announced. And so I figured this would be a great time to do that. There's a lot, again, as I mentioned earlier, a lot that I want to talk about when it comes to theories and information about the games. So I didn't want to do them in the same video sometimes. So I figured the best case scenario, split it into two different series. So a little bit more about each series would be that the Lumiose dialogue is going to be, as I mentioned earlier, a dialogue about the game. That will be where I talk about any theories I have, any thoughts about the trailers that aren't really specifically focused on information that, that isn't it's really my thoughts about the game. But I also want it to be a dialogue between us, in general, where we talk about our own theories, where we talk about our own thoughts in the game, maybe some new ideas about mega evolutions, stuff like that. But that's pretty much what I want it to be. Just a pretty laid back type of series where we're just talking about Pokemon Legends ZA in every video. Sometimes the videos will be maybe a little bit more interesting than others, but I want to try to make it as interesting as possible in general. For the Lumiose Datalog, as I mentioned earlier, that is largely how I'm going to cover information about the games. Probably we won't be getting new trailers until maybe the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, but probably more likely until June of this year. So we won't have too many of those videos go up before we start getting a lot of information. But what I intend for that to be, again, my coverage of the actual information that we get. Pretty much a extension of my reactions in a lot of ways. In those videos, we'll be talking about the information they release on the Pokemon official website, what they release through press releases, through different events, Pokemon Presents, trailers, stuff like that. But it won't be too much of a opinionated, I guess, dialogue about the game. That'll be saved a lot more for the Lumiose dialogue. Again, I'm very excited to launch these 2 new series. They have been on my mind for a little bit. I've been trying to figure out how I would want to start them. My first video for the Lumiose dialogue, which will be the series again, that since the datalog, we probably won't get a lot of information until around June. The dialogue will probably have a couple of episodes before the datalog releases, like the first episode of the datalog releases. But, there's a lot of things I want to talk about already, like maybe some ideas I have for Mega Evolutions, or my general thoughts on the game at this point, or maybe some theories about Team Flare, for instance, but stuff like that. That's what I wanted the Lumiose dialogue to focus on. And yeah, so again, I'm very excited to talk about the game. I'm very excited to do these 2 new series. I haven't really set like a time limit between when how long I want the episodes to be. My intended range would be 10 to 25 minutes. Obviously, some would probably be less than that, and some will be more than that, but the range would probably fall within that somewhere. I guess it honestly depends on what the type of news we get, but more than likely, the dialogue videos will be longer than the datalog videos. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I will also still be doing reactions. So my coverage will likely just be a 3-tiered type of thing, where dialogue, maybe that's where I do predictions for Pokemon Presents or trailers. And then the following would just be the reaction, and then the datalog will follow that, and then maybe a back up to a dialogue video where I'm talking about my thoughts on the game. But yeah, I just wanted to get this announcement out there. This will serve pretty much as an episode 0 for both of those series, until I'm ready to record the first episode of the Lumiose dialogue. I have a release date in mind for it. It will be obviously after this video, but I'm hoping for by the end of the month I will have a Lumiose dialogue episode out, but at least by the middle of April, I hope to officially have that first episode out. That is all I really have for you all today. As these 2 series begin, I will talk about them a little bit more and give them a little bit more depth in regards to what they are. But for now, that is all I really have for you all today. So if you are excited for these 2 series, or you have any ideas about how these 2 series should go, that's honestly why I'm making this video, to get some advice, some information, maybe some topics for the Lumiose dialogue. Please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. But without further ado, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. So make sure it makes you happy. That rhymes with generic happy, and goodbye. Pokemon Legends ZA is out late this year.